Recently, there has been a lot of criticism in the press about dressage riders and dressage, and even more worryingly, our ability to ride our horses and enjoy riding our horses. And so it made me wonder about all the stuff we talk about, how we ride, how we sit, all the exercises and trying to perfect things. Why do we do it? Why do we even bother? Why don't we just leave the horses in the field and let them get on with it and never ride them? And it's very important, I think, that people understand that the horses get as much out of it as we do when it's done properly. So I started doing these rules, and then I thought, why are we doing it? I thought, mental and physical well-being of the horse. It's not just us, it's also the horse. It's also important for us as well. But anyway, we're looking at the horses here. Mental and physical well-being. If you look at the classical schools, you'll see the horses are calm. They're happy to be working. Their ears are forward. They're eager. There's no excess tension. There might be a little excitement if it's quite a busy atmosphere, but it's a nice little buzz. It's not this sort of panicked look in their eyes. Also, they're not dead in their eyes. They're alive. They're not just machines. And that's because they're trained well and ridden well. Very often these horses don't get turnout, and yet they're happy, well-balanced horses. So I'm going to go through some of these scales of training, and we'll come back to these again. So cardinal rules. Calm, forward, straight. If at any point in your riding you lose this, you need to get it back as soon as possible. So you might be going for a hack and suddenly, I don't know, there's a pig in the field or a plastic bag blows across and you lose the calm. You might lose the forwardness and the straightness as it zips round and heads for home. So as soon as possible, you want to get it back to being calm, going forward nice and reasonably, and nice and straight, not going sideways and evading you. In the dressage world or jumping world, competitive world, again, really, really important. Your young horse, you just want it to trot and canter along, nice easy rein, reaching nicely into the bridle, forward when you ask it, slowing down when you ask it, turning left, turning right very easily, following the curve of a circle very easily, no excessive kinks or bends in its neck, and its legs just swinging very naturally. They just swing along very naturally. And it's almost like we're saying we're lunging them from the saddle, or we're just sitting on a horse and it's on its own, trotting around a field or whatever. So this is a very non-invasive area here. You're a little bit just being a good passenger. I like to say you're doing nothing well. In other words, you're sitting on your horse doing very, very little, just ensuring it's calm, forward and straight. But you have to be quite a good rider to do that. You have to do it well. So it's doing nothing well. So then when we go a little bit higher up the ladder, as it were, we want to have our horses a little bit more trained. We go scales of training. Now, a lot of people think relaxation, I want my horse calm and relaxed. Well, that comes here. This is a different relaxation. So we start with rhythm, because if you have a good rhythm, the horse will slot into it and he will relax. And the relaxation here is about his muscles swinging evenly. So there's a point where I demonstrate with my arm. So if my arm goes very slowly, this might be a horse that's not really going forward, maybe a bit nervous about things, and it's a bit hesitant, and it's a bit stiff and tight, and its limbs will be moving like this, slightly held. It might even be here, But anyway, I'm just using my arm as a demonstration. So then it starts to loosen up, and it just swings. This is a very natural, easy swing here. So this is it just ring along, relaxed. If you go too fast, suddenly there's a point where I have to stiffen my arm and it gets like this. And this is too fast. I've lost the relaxation because the rhythm is too quick. So the rhythm is really, really important. Relaxation is the letting go of tension. It's so that his muscles work evenly. He's not limping on one leg or going crooked, so he's favouring one leg. We're trying to keep him very even through his stride. And we've looked at alignment in another talk, and alignment here is very, very important, because if you start with him going a little more quarters one way, shoulders one way, you don't correct it, or you just hang on to the rein and sort of fudge it a little bit, you're really not helping the muscles to develop equally. So these two, very important. Don't move on until you've got those. Contact. A lot of people say, do I need a bridle? Maybe bridles are cruel. I shouldn't have a bit in the horse's mouth. I can just use a head collar. Well, you can, but actually this contact, it's not just holding the bit and holding the reins. It's the fact that the horse is really reaching into them, and you can feel that into the reins, or you should be able to. It's not that I'm grabbing the reins and getting a contact. It's the fact that the horse and me have a nice little relationship where I'm feeling what he's doing at the end of the reins, and I can help him with that. I can give him confidence. It's like a little arm around the shoulder. It says, come on, I'm here for you. I can help you through this. And it gives the horse real confidence to have a nice contact. And personally, I think that that is not possible in a head collar. I think it's just isn't. You don't get the same feel. You can do a lot of stuff in a head collar and without a bridle, but it's not quite the same as having that lovely feeling of the horse stepping into the bridle, not pulling, not dropping, but just beautifully elastic. Now, straightness, alignment. As I said, I've talked about alignment in depth in another talk. A lot of people put impulsion here and straightness here. They swap those two around. The reason why I've got it here is because we've already got the calm forward straight, which is just a basic. The forwardness is the impulsion, straightness I'm putting here. Why am I putting it here? Because if your horse is crooked and you then add more impulsion, it's like you're just putting more gunpowder into the wrong direction. You know, if your cannon's facing the wrong way, putting more gunpowder in is not going to help things. So yes, we do need the horse to be forward. That's really important. But impulsion is a slightly different way of going forward. It has a real energetic, engaged feel to it. It's not just simply going fast. So we put straightness and alignment here, so that then when we add the impulsion, then the horse really engages both hind legs and starts to push. How do you know you've got impulsion? You can do extended trot. You can do the beginnings of passage. You can basically lengthen and shorten. That shows you have impulsion. If you're just going faster and slower, it's fine, you're going forward in a way, but it's not true impulsion. So as I say, I think the straightness is far more important than at this level here, and then add the impulsion. When you've got those three all working, I talked about shortening and lengthening in the impulsion, the shortening becomes collection. So the hind legs are flexing, they're pushing, they're carrying a bit more weight. The front end is beautifully free. You feel that he feels very regal in front. He's carrying his head and neck. His shoulders are nice and free. You can move him around. You can have him right the way back to piaffe, and he's beautifully engaged and supple and soft. And yet you can also just move him out to an extended pace if you've got the impulsion right. So these are your scales of training. Then we come into why, as I said earlier. So these things just, they seem to me very natural. Longevity. Originally, you would train your horse to be a nice ride because you needed to ride from here into town to do your shopping. And so you wanted your horse to last a long time. And if he was crooked or you abused him or you made him rush and be unbalanced, he wouldn't last very long. He wouldn't be sound for very long either. And it's really worrying that so many horses go lame at a young age. And I think pushing them at a young age is a real disaster. This needs to be, I don't know, a year or so. Maybe this one is another year. So they don't really get into this until they're about 5, maybe even 6. So they've done all that good strengthening and suppling work early on. So, as I say, longevity, soundness, that's really important. Balance, coordination, strength, flexibility, mental and physical well-being. This is why we train them. Dressage is just simply training them. And if we train them well, we'll achieve all this. If we train them badly, this is probably the first one to go. Maybe this one is the next one, or maybe this one comes first. But you're going to lose that. They become tense, they become nervous, they become unwilling, they become lazy, heavy in the hand, dead to the leg, all of those things. If we train them well, we avoid all that. So, a little bit about training your horse and some of the rules.